Christmas is universally known as a time of positivity and compassion, and the argument could be made that beating criminals to a pulp on the only night that Santa gets exercised a year is a very compassionate thing to do, considering the amount of people you save in doing so. And it has such a positive effect on the community. So with that philosophy in mind, I decided that this year I'm going to beat Arkham Origins without taking any damage. The rules are the same as my Spider-Man no damage run, but in case you haven't seen it, I'll run through them again. I'm not allowed to take any form of damage unless it's scripted. If I do take damage, I have to reload the last checkpoint and try again. Also, to add some salt into this gaping wound, I'm going to be playing the game on the hardest difficulty on New Game Plus, which removes the counter icons above enemies' heads before they attack. Let's get started. After hearing about a disturbance at Blackgate Prison, I suit up and head over there faster than you can say there's no such thing as a Batman. After passing my first encounter, of which I'm not sure whether it damages you or not, as I've never failed it before, I head deeper into the prison and come across my first couple of combat encounters, which I fly through. Playing the Arkham games without the counter icons isn't anything new to me, as I've done it hundreds of times. If I'm honest, it's like riding a bike at this point. But the added pressure of not getting hit is something I'm not used to, and really added some adrenaline to every fight, which I couldn't get enough of. After finding out that Black Mask has been taking inspiration from a certain Austrian painter, I give some more of his goons the old 1-2. I half-inch a SIM card like a council estate criminal, then I have my first boss fight of the game against Killer Croc. I'll admit that I got hit quite a few times in this fight, mostly due to his bloody slam. After finally beating him, he tells me there's a price on my head. After a short tutorial section, I wait around at Jezebel Plaza for some of Penguin's goons to show up. When they do, I kick the shit out of them, then after getting the information I need, I give Loose Lips some skydiving lessons, take down another radio tower, then I dish out more blunt force trauma to Penguin's goons to get access to his radio frequency. Now that I know where he is, I make my way over there to get some information from the podgy little prick. After taking out the bouncers, I head inside the final offer, and have a right hard time trying to get past this fight. Sometimes this happens with the Arkham games. Some fights have a specific number of enemy types that make the perfect cocktail that gives me a lot of trouble. After finally managing to knock their last few brain cells against the walls of their skulls, eventually I make it to the arena. After removing any ounce of respect that this clown demanded on the streets, I get rushed by every single thug in the room. And embarrassingly, this fight gave me less trouble than the smaller group of enemies in the entrance to the ship. Once they're all comatose, I ploughed through more of them with no issues. Then I made sure to be extra careful not to get hit by Tracy, as I'm unsure if I can reload the checkpoint after the cutscene's over. Then this brawny bellend smacks me around something awful. Once I finally managed to give him 40 winks, I wipe the floor with his Bruce Lee wannabes, and after clearing out the next room, I deal with the waddling wanker's bodyguards. Then I throw him around until he tells me that there was a murder a few nights ago at Black Mask's penthouse. And now, we come to the part that you've probably been waiting for. And surprisingly, I only got hit 3 times until I managed to beat Mr. One-Eyed Willy here. And since this fight is one of the hardest in the game, I'm going to play it in its entirety, just to prove that I did it without getting hit.
Tell me where I can find Black Mask.
I expect this will be the fight of your life. Enjoy your final moments. You'll regret that!
After denting his skull with the heel of my boot, I head over to Lacey Towers. Upon arrival, I discover that Black Mask's girlfriend had her clogs popped. But I can't get the full story until I take a look at the case files to compare some DNA samples. And to get that, I need to do a good old fashioned B&E on the GCPD. After making all the bobbies on the roof take a nap, I head into the wolf's den. Then I scurry around in the vents like the other kind of rodent and beat some sense into the walking strips of bacon. After bullying loose lips again, I now have to get the signal disruptor from the evidence locker to get to my goal, which means I have to go through troves of pork rinds to get to it. Once the bullpen's clear, I have a scrap with the officers in the holding cells, and after grabbing my new gadget, I quickly discover that the prisoners have started a riot. It's also my first introduction to the Venom soldiers. They don't amount to much though, as they go down just as easy as the bog standard foot soldiers. After quelling the riot, I hack the servers, then Barbara Gordon tells me that I need to head underground to get remote access to the files. So once again, like in every game, I have to go tromping through some shit-caked sewers. But before I manage to step 1 foot down there, however, I get my arse handed to me repeatedly in the shooting range. To be specific, it was at least a dozen times I had to restart this bastard encounter. Once I finally push through them, I successfully escape the GCPD, beat more of Brandon's men to a pulp, and head down into Browntown. Unfortunately, Black Mask also sent his men down here to put up some bombs. They were no match for my fists of fury though. But something that's always confused me is, why doesn't Batman defuse the bombs? Surely a metric ton of explosives lining the sewers is a concerning situation that should take priority over a murder that happened a few days ago. After a few more scraps, and an encounter with Captain Roid Rage, who actually managed to happy slap me a couple of times, I get the files and discover that someone called the Joker murdered Black Mask's whammon and kidnapped him to break into his bank. So after getting serenaded, I head over there to confront him. After witnessing the worst plot twist since Signs, I make the Joker's men regret their life choices, then I head to the Psionic steel mill to try and catch the crazy prick. After dealing with the guards outside and beating 7 bales of shit out of the ones inside, including some cowards hiding behind a turret in the office, when I get to the warehouse, I have a bit of a hard time trying to fight these absolute dickwads. And just when I thought it was bad enough already, they bring out Roidzilla. He went down like a pussy though, because he may be strong, but I'm faster. After that mildly entertaining encounter, I give a room full of ingrates a test run of my own brand of bat chloroform, then whilst giving Black Mask a hard time, Copperhead decides to poison me, causing me to hallucinate. This boss fight is the one I've been dreading since starting the run. I've always had a hard time with it, more so than the Deathstroke one. I can't even count how many times I had to restart this. The problem is that even on the standard difficulty setting, there's so many copheads to keep an eye on that the counter icons become a crutch. Take them away, and it's a combination of quick reflexes and even quicker thinking in response to her movements. And I'm almost 30 years old. So not only am I a few years off forced retirement, but my reflexes aren't what they used to be. Despite me aging like milk, I'm also incredibly stubborn, so giving up wasn't an option. So, like with the Deathstroke one, here is the full-length fight.
Yeah, keep trying. I'm over here, Batman. It won't be long now. Their body cannot survive without their brain. Necrophilic body. think that will help.
No! Right here, cabron!
Nothing but air.
Time to finish you up!
You should be dead!
Sir, the drop container has arrived. Can you see it?
I see it.
You think you're cured? My poison is still in your veins and it will remain there as long as you live. Which won't be very long.
Now that she's taken some time to think about what she's done, it's time to stop the Jonker from being a down-and-out menace to society. So I have to knock some heads at the Gotham Royal Hotel to get to him, which, after Copperhead, was a walk in the park. After brute forcing my way through some more of the local chavs, I hack into the security cameras and witnessed a one-hit wonder getting his spine ejected out of his mouth. I half-inch his gloves and use them to access the floors above. After making sure I didn't get shot by this turret trap and a couple more scraps, I have to get through the Joker's makeshift carnival, which aside from having me solve a few puzzles, also involves me having to have a big old round of fisticuffs with some vagabonds, which went a lot better than expected. After taking out another beefy bastard and his gang of invalids, I defuse some bombs, then it takes me a couple of tries to fight off all these reprobates on the rooftop garden. The pool area also gave me a bit of trouble, but I'm not one to complain. On the plus side, it's the first time I've been hit in a Predator encounter, and an interesting start to my career as a chiropractor. After Bane tries to fix my sciatica, Joker blows up a building, and after giving him a cold crisp slap over the chops, Bane challenges me to a 1v1. This fight is an odd one, because compared to the Copperhead one, it's a walk in the park. But that doesn't mean I didn't get my head caved in repeatedly. And 90% of those hits were because of his stupid rhino charge. It has some really weird tracking to it. But after playing around with different tactics, I realised that running works better than dodging. Honestly, once I figured this out, I wiped the floor with him. Turns out Bane is a massive pussy, because the second the tables turn in my favour, he runs away like a chicken, but luckily I managed to get a tracker on him before he does. And to make matters worse, he tries to blow me and the Joker up with a bazooka. After saving the Looney Tunes ass bastard from becoming a jam stain on the pavement, he goes straight to Blackgate prison. And this next part you get to play as him while he's chatting up his future bird. I'm going to skip this section, not only because I didn't get hit, because, let's face it, this combat section is a piece of piss, but correct me if I'm wrong because it's been a while, but I don't think you can take damage in this part anyway. After finding out there's a body in the GCPD morgue matching Bane's description, I head over there to make sure that the big bastard is off the streets for good. After an uneventful romp through the sewers, turns out it's not Bane, it's just one of his brainless brawn bags. Right after this, Bane's tracker comes online. This is obviously a trap, but I'm spoiling for a fight, so regardless, I'm heading over there. Bane's lair is heavily guarded by some yobbos that didn't give me much trouble despite their efforts. After realising that Bane now knows my identity, I blow up his lair, then whilst on my way back to the Batcave, Firefly attacks the Gotham Bridge. So not only do I have to deal with the pork scratchings trying to kill me, but also Firefly's minions as well. After making sure Brandon doesn't realign my jaw, I send Mr. Sandman some dickheads to play with, defuse Firefly's bombs, and after scaring the shit out of these reprobates, I end up having to restart this fight over and over again, because I keep getting my arse singed by the fire in this arena. Which also led to me getting my ass beat numerous times as I was trying to confine myself to the middle to avoid the flames. After finally pushing through, I come to the fight against the dirty insect. His first phase isn't bad at all. I didn't get hit once. But right after this started the long-winded cycle of restarts. Not from the fight, oh no. A few of them were caused by getting burned whilst grappling onto this beam, and I had to resort to changing the trajectory of my grapple just to avoid this. But most of them were from the gauntlet you have to run to even get to the second stage of the fight. After a long time, I finally managed to get to the second phase, and I breezed through it first try. And I also surprised myself by getting past this section where you have to press the counter button to avoid getting smacked by a building first try. Which I'm glad of because I'm unsure if you can even restart it. After bonking him over the head and dropping him off for the boys in blue, I get a call from Bane telling me he's fatally wounded Alfred. Luckily, I managed to save him. Then I get word that the Joker has started a riot at Blackgate, so I head back over there to deal with the situation. My return to America's grottiest battery farm for criminals was met instantly by a wall, because it took me a fair few tries to get past this first group of vagabonds. It's another case of a perfect enemy cocktail. Even with pre-fight tactical prep, I still had trouble beating these heinous highwaymen. After I finally mustered up enough mental capacity to get through it, I have a nice relaxing raft ride, then put some filthy criminals into a really deep sleep. And I get mildly annoyed at myself when this large group of enemies I encounter as I journey deeper into hell turns out to be a walk in the park compared to the drastically smaller group outside the main entrance. Even when Hagrid joins the fray, I still come down on them like a ton of bricks. This was also the case with the fight after this. After beating everyone into submission, Joker sets Bane on me again. But he's at a disadvantage because now I know his patterns. So I only got hit a couple of times. Once he's down, I now have to fight the big boy version of him. And this fight is easy as it's a stealth one. After stringing him up like a pig in a butcher's shop, I then help Captain Gordon fight off a group of idiots in one of the cell blocks. Having him here actually made the fight easier, because he spent the entirety of it distracting them. After they get a full dose of my fist-shaped anesthetic, I confront Joker in the chapel and beat the absolute shit out of him. Once he's apprehended, I retire to have my Christmas dinner. And with that, I beat Arkham Origins without taking any damage. I mentioned this at the start of the run, but the adrenaline surge I got from almost every fight I was involved in was exhilarating, and I am 100% going to do this for the remaining Arkham games. Well, maybe not Arkham Shadow. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe? It helps out the channel massively. Plus, if you turn on the notification bell, you get to watch more juicy content from yours truly when it releases. I also have a Discord server. The link will be in the description and in my channel bio. If you want to support me further, consider joining as a channel member. You get early access to videos and a mention in them for being such a legend. If there's a specific video you want to see, or you just want to have a chat, drop a comment down below or message the Discord server. Have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next time.